Let the day be enough, releasing the pressure to do more. You did what you could. That's enough. Tonight, let peace finish what pressure started. Table of Contents. The weight of always doing. Recognizing the unconscious toll of endless achievement and constant doing. The lie of not enough. Unpacking the false narrative that equates self-worth with productivity. Redefining success at day's end. Letting go of task lists and finding fulfillment in showing up. The gentle art of stopping. How to pause without guilt and reclaim the night as sacred. Perfectionism's prison walls. Identifying the silent standards that rob us of rest and self-compassion. Reclaiming the right to rest. Learning to see rest not as laziness, but as a form of wisdom and power. When your best feels small. Honoring efforts that may seem invisible but are deeply valuable. Letting peace finish the work. Allowing the day's unfinished business to settle without self-blame. Building a nightly ritual of release. Creating your own peaceful bedtime routine to decompress and heal. Waking up without regret. Replacing self-pressure with self-kindness for tomorrow's fresh start. Chapter 1: The Weight of Always Doing. We live in a world that rarely stops moving. The hands of the clock seem to spin faster every year, and the list of tasks in our minds stretches longer with each passing day. Somewhere along the way, we adopted a quiet but demanding belief: if we were not constantly doing, we were somehow falling behind. And yet, under the surface of constant motion, many of us are quietly suffocating beneath the weight of always doing. There is a fatigue that doesn't come from physical exertion, it comes from the soul's exhaustion. It's the kind of tired that no nap can fix. It arises when your value feels chained to your output, when rest feels like a betrayal of your potential, and when quiet moments are filled with guilt rather than peace. You lie in bed at night, mentally scanning the things you didn't get done, wondering if you're doing enough, being enough, succeeding enough. But what if just for tonight you could lay it all down? What if the day didn't need one more thing from you? What if your worth wasn't up for debate just because the laundry remained unfolded or your inbox wasn't cleared? These small undone things do not define your value. The pressure to do more is a story whispered by fear of being overlooked, unaccomplished, or falling short. But the truth is, you are not your unfinished tasks. You are not your unchecked boxes. You are not your productivity. Let's pause here, together, in the sacred space of this moment, and acknowledge something. You did something today. Maybe not everything. Maybe not perfectly. But you showed up. You faced things. You survived. And that alone is worthy of recognition. Many of us were raised in environments where rest was earned, not granted. Where compliments were tied to performance, and silence followed perceived failure. Over time, this conditions us to tie our value to what we do, rather than who we are. But you are not a machine. You are a living, breathing soul with a heart that longs to feel safe, seen, and accepted, especially by yourself. The weight of always doing is not just heavy, it's unsustainable. Carrying it every day without pause slowly erodes the joy from our lives. It makes us resent the very things we once felt passionate about. It distorts our identity until we see ourselves only as contributors, not as whole, complex, beautiful beings who deserve rest, love, and peace, simply because we exist. Tonight, I want to invite you into a new kind of space, one where stillness is allowed, not punished. A space where letting go of one more task is not weakness but wisdom. A space where being human is enough. Take a deep breath. Not the rushed kind. A real one. Fill your lungs. Let it out slowly. Let this be the breath that signals something new, a shift from pressure to peace, from striving to surrender. You have done enough today. Let that truth sink in like warm tea through a tired body. You have done enough. Even if you feel like you could have done more, even if a voice whispers that you should have finished that one last thing, you are allowed to put it down now. What wasn't done can wait. What wasn't perfect never needed to be. Your worth is not up for negotiation because of what the day did or didn't look like. One of the most freeing beliefs you can adopt is this: completion is not the requirement for self-compassion, You can extend grace to yourself even when the day wasn't perfect. You can release the day without a gold star. You can rest without a parade. Because peace is a decision, not a reward. This chapter is not just about rest. It's about reclamation. Reclaiming your nights as places of restoration, not self-interrogation. Reclaiming your identity from a culture that only values the visible. Reclaiming your heart from a cycle of burnout masked as ambition. You don't have to live inside a story where you're only as good as what you got done. Let that story fall away like leaves in autumn, making space for a new one to grow. A story where presence matters more than productivity. Where your peace is not conditional. Where enough isn't a finish line you chase, it's a mindset you choose. And yes, this may take time. It might feel unfamiliar to lay your head down without rehearsing all the ways you could have done more. But healing starts with awareness. And awareness begins with permission. So tonight, give yourself permission to step away from pressure and into peace. No matter how much you did or didn't accomplish today, one truth remains: you are enough. Your soul doesn't need to prove anything to deserve rest. You are not a project to fix. You are a human to love. And that love starts with how you speak to yourself when the day ends. So as you prepare for sleep, repeat this softly in your heart, like a lullaby for the overworked parts of you. I did what I could. That is enough. I let go now. I welcome peace. Let this chapter be your turning point. A place to pause, to breathe, to begin again, not with more effort, but with more gentleness. Let tonight be different. Let tonight be the first time you say, I am allowed to stop now. Let the day be enough. Chapter 2, The Lie of Not Enough. Some lies are loud and obvious, easily spotted, easily challenged. But others are quiet. They slip beneath the surface and wrap around our inner thoughts like vines, slowly squeezing out joy, rest, and self-worth. One of the most dangerous of these quiet lies is the one that whispers, you are not enough. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. It shows up in little moments. When you compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel. When you finish your day and still feel like something's missing. When rest feels like failure. When compliments are uncomfortable because you secretly don't believe them. That's the lie. That subtle, sneaky voice that makes you believe you're only valuable when you're achieving something. That your worth is always just one more accomplishment away. But here's the truth, you were always enough. Before the successes. Before the job titles. Before the validation. Before the goals. You were enough simply because you existed. That truth hasn't changed. It never will. What changed is what you began to believe about yourself and what the world taught you to expect of yourself. From an early age, many of us were taught to perform for approval. We got gold stars for being good. Praise for getting the answer right. Love, sometimes, felt conditional. So we internalized the idea that to be seen, we must excel. To be accepted, we must exceed. And slowly, unknowingly, we started chasing our worth instead of resting in it. The lie of not enough is fed by comparison. You scroll through social media and see curated moments of joy, wealth, creativity, and beauty. And instead of inspiration, it triggers inadequacy. But what you're comparing is never the whole picture. You're measuring your behind the scenes against someone else's spotlight. And that measurement will always lie to you. It's also fueled by perfectionism, the belief that if we just get everything right, we'll finally feel secure. But perfectionism is a moving target. No matter how much you do, your inner critic finds something more you could have done. It's exhausting, isn't it? Living every day with a silent pressure pressing down on your shoulders, convincing you that who you are is not quite enough. You might think you're the only one who feels this way. But you're not. So many beautiful, talented, strong souls wake up feeling like they're already behind. They lie awake at night counting everything they didn't do, rather than celebrating all that they did. This silent epidemic is draining our joy and robbing us of the one thing we long for most, peace. So let's rewrite this story. Let's speak a different language to ourselves. One rooted in grace, not grind. One that says, I am not a machine. I am a miracle. Let's start by questioning the voice that says, "I didn't do enough today." Ask yourself, according to whom? Whose standards are you measuring yourself by? Are they your own? Or are they inherited from a world that glorifies hustle and shames rest? The voice that says, "You should be more," is not your true self. It's a survival voice. It's the echo of pressure, expectation, and cultural conditioning. Your true self is not harsh or hurried. It is kind, gentle, compassionate. Your true self knows that you are doing the best you can, with what you have, in this season of your life. And the truth is, being enough isn't a finish line you cross. It's the foundation you're built upon. You were enough when you were learning. You were enough when you were healing. You were enough when you cried quietly in the shower and still went to work. You were enough when you made mistakes and grew from them. You are enough now. You don't have to hustle for love. You don't have to earn your right to breathe. You don't need to prove your value every day like it's a test you're at risk of failing. What if you could let that burden go? What if you could speak to yourself tonight like someone worthy of rest, not because you finished your list, but because your heart has carried enough already? Tonight, as the world winds down, try this gentle affirmation. I do not need to be more. I already am. I release the lie that I am not enough. I replace it with love. Say it slowly. Say it with kindness. Say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. Because each time you do, you plant a seed in your soul. And with time, that seed grows into a truth strong enough to silence the lie. Releasing the lie of not enough isn't about ignoring goals or giving up on growth. It's about choosing to grow from a place of self-love rather than self-judgment. It's about shifting from pressure to purpose. From inadequacy to inner peace. You deserve to lay your head on your pillow at night without self-criticism running through your mind. You deserve to rest without guilt. You deserve to exist without constantly proving your right to be here. You were never meant to carry this burden forever. And tonight, you don't have to. So let the day be enough. Not because everything got done. Not because everything went perfectly. But because you showed up. You tried. You felt. You grew. You were present for your life. And that is beautiful. That is brave. That is enough. As you drift toward sleep, remember this one simple truth: you are not falling short, you are finding your way. And that, dear soul, is more than enough. Chapter 3: Redefining Success at Day's End. At the end of each day, many people quietly conduct an audit of their lives. They mentally tally their to-do lists, replay conversations, and measure how much they got done, grading themselves on an invisible scale of productivity. If enough boxes are checked, the day is considered successful. If not, a silent disappointment sets in. But what if that scale was never yours to begin with? What if success is not about how much you accomplished, but how much you lived? We've been trained to see success through narrow lenses: completion, achievement, recognition, and external progress. These metrics have value, yes, but they're incomplete. They don't tell the whole story of your day. They don't measure the smile you gave to a stranger, the strength it took to get out of bed when you didn't feel like it, or the kindness you showed yourself after making a mistake. These moments matter just as much, if not more, than crossing items off a list. The truth is, life isn't always about how many things you do. Sometimes, it's about how deeply you feel while doing them. It's about how present you are, how true you were to yourself, and how gently you held space for your own humanity. And when you begin to redefine success in this way, something powerful happens: pressure fades, and peace begins. Let's be honest, most of our daily stress doesn't come from the tasks themselves, but from the expectations wrapped around them. We think we have to do more, be more, achieve more to earn rest or love or peace. But that belief is a lie dressed up as ambition. And while ambition can be beautiful when it's rooted in purpose, it becomes toxic when rooted in insecurity. So how do we shift this? How do we let go of external measures and rewrite our definition of success? We start by asking better questions at the end of the day, not "what did I accomplish," but "did I act with integrity today? Did I treat myself with compassion? Did I show up, even in small ways? Did I learn something even if it was subtle? Did I allow myself to rest, even briefly? These questions invite you to see your day through a softer lens, one that honors your effort and humanity. They bring your attention to what's often invisible but deeply valuable: your growth, your resilience, your emotional honesty. You may not have finished everything you planned, but did you stay grounded through difficulty? Did you forgive yourself for falling short? Did you resist the urge to overextend when your body said no? These are triumphs. Quiet, often unseen, but profound. Let's take this deeper. Imagine someone close to you, someone you love unconditionally. If they told you they didn't finish everything they had hoped today, would you see them as a failure? Would you tell them they were not enough? Of course not. You'd likely remind them of their worth, their efforts, and their right to rest. Now ask yourself, why don't you offer the same grace to you? The answer lies in conditioning. You've been conditioned to associate success with doing, and worth with results. But healing begins when we flip that script. When we say, I am already worthy, and success can look like peace. Success can look like slowing down. When you begin to redefine success as alignment, being in harmony with your values, your energy, and your truth, you begin to experience a gentler kind of fulfillment. One that doesn't demand perfection or constant output. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals. It means no longer measuring your value by whether you met every one of them today. It means celebrating progress in all its forms, not just the kind that's visible or quantifiable. For example, success can be saying no when your heart said enough. Success can be holding your tongue in a moment of anger. Success can be pausing to breathe instead of powering through. Success can be making your bed even if the rest of the house is a mess. Success can be simply surviving a hard day without giving up. When you start to honor these quiet wins, your inner dialogue shifts. You begin to end your days not with criticism, but with celebration. So tonight, as the world grows quiet, I invite you to rewrite the script in your head. Replace self-judgment with gentle awareness. Instead of asking, did I do enough, ask, what did I do that felt aligned with who I want to be? That is your real success. That is the path toward peace. Here's a truth that will set you free: your life is not a project to manage. It's a journey to experience. And at the end of each day, your worth is not waiting to be earned, it's waiting to be remembered. Let's create a new bedtime ritual together. Before you sleep, write down or simply whisper 3 things that went right today. Not big things. Small things. A kind thought. A small choice. A tiny joy. Let your day end not with guilt, but with gratitude. Not with pressure, but with presence. Here's a gentle affirmation to carry with you into the night. Today, I lived. I grew. I tried. And that is more than enough. I release the need to do more. I celebrate who I am becoming. When you live by this definition of success, when you meet your day with grace instead of judgment, you become someone who no longer fears the end of the day. Instead, you welcome it like an old friend, knowing that every sunset is not a test, but a tender invitation to pause, reflect, and rest. So let the day be enough. Let your definition of success be wide enough to include your tears and your laughter, your action and your rest, your effort and your surrender. And may that new definition bring you the peace you've been longing for all along. Chapter 4: The Gentle Art of Stopping. In a world that constantly tells you to go, stopping can feel like rebellion. We are trained to keep moving, keep striving, keep producing. Slowing down is seen as lazy, stopping is seen as weakness, and resting unless you've earned it is almost taboo. But what if stopping wasn't a failure of momentum, but a sacred act of self-preservation? There is an art to stopping. A kind, deliberate, soul-nourishing art. And like all true art, it requires attention, intention, and love. Let's begin with a simple truth: you were not designed to go full speed forever. Your body, your spirit, and your nervous system were built with natural rhythms, ebbs and flows, activity and stillness, expansion and contraction. When we ignore those rhythms, we begin to fracture. We become fragmented versions of ourselves, tired, irritable, anxious, numb. Stopping is not quitting. Stopping is wisdom. It's the moment you hear your own heartbeat again. The breath you actually feel fill your chest. The choice to be present, rather than perform. Stopping is how we come home to ourselves after a long day of being pulled in 1,000 directions. But for many, stopping feels unsafe. There's a silent fear underneath: if I stop, I'll fall behind. If I rest, I'll be forgotten. If I don't keep doing, I won't be worthy. These are illusions rooted in a culture that worships productivity over presence. Let's challenge that. Think of nature. Does the sun apologize for setting? Does a tree regret the stillness of winter? Of course not. Stillness is part of the cycle. It's not a punishment, it's preparation. In the same way, stopping is not a sign you're falling short, it's a signal that you're sinking back into your natural design. You are allowed to pause. The gentle art of stopping begins with permission. Most people don't need more time, they need more permission. Permission to say, I've done enough for now. Permission to close the laptop even if the inbox isn't empty. Permission to be fully present with their children without thinking of unfinished tasks. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to just be. You don't have to earn your rest with exhaustion. Rest isn't a reward for breaking yourself. Rest is your right as a living, breathing being. When you embrace stopping as sacred, your life begins to change. You stop measuring worth by what you crossed off your to-do list. You begin to feel again. Hear again. Notice beauty again. You begin to live, instead of merely function. So how do we practice this art? Start small. At the end of your workday, instead of reaching for your phone or checking one more email, simply stop. Sit in silence for 1 full minute. No goals. No fixing. Just stillness. Breathe in. Breathe out. Notice how strange it feels at first because you are not used to it. And then notice how peaceful it becomes. Or take a pause walk. Leave your headphones at home. Walk without multitasking. Let your senses guide you. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Let the act of walking become your meditation. Every step saying, I am here. I am not rushing. I am alive. Stopping can also look like setting boundaries. Saying no to things that drain your spirit. Ending the day at a reasonable hour. Refusing to live in the guilt of not doing just one more thing. Saying, with quiet conviction, this is enough for today. Stopping is also about releasing control. It's trusting that the world will keep spinning even if you rest. It's remembering that your value is not in how much you do, but in who you are. One of the most beautiful practices you can cultivate is a nightly ritual of stopping. When the day ends, light a candle, dim the lights, and whisper a closing statement. Something like, I release this day. I leave behind what I couldn't finish. I celebrate what I did. I offer myself grace. I stop now, not because I'm weak, but because I am wise. This act becomes a gentle ceremony marking the sacred transition from effort to ease, from doing to being, from pressure to peace. If you struggle with stopping because your mind keeps spinning, know this: your thoughts are not proof that you must keep going. They are echoes of habit. Let them rise and fall like waves. You don't have to act on every thought. Not every task that appears in your mind needs to be done tonight. Your peace matters more than your productivity. When you learn the gentle art of stopping, you begin to remember what it feels like to belong to yourself again. To breathe without urgency. To listen without distraction. To rest not as escape, but as return. And the deeper truth is, you deserve this. Not someday. Not when everything is done. Now. So tonight, as the lights dim and the world quiets, allow yourself to step into stillness. No more striving. No more fixing. No more apologizing for your need to stop. Let this chapter be your invitation to change the way you end each day. Not with depletion, but with devotion. Not with guilt, but with gentleness. Let stopping be your way of saying to yourself, I matter too. Here is your soft affirmation. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to rest. I do not have to prove anything tonight. I stop, and I find myself again. And in that stopping, you may find the very thing your soul has been craving all along, peace. Not the peace that comes from finishing everything, but the peace that comes from knowing you don't have to. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are learning the art of honoring yourself. And there is nothing more sacred than that. Let the day be enough. Let the stillness heal you. Let the pause become a prayer. And let yourself stop not because the world gives you permission, but because your heart deserves it. Chapter 5, Perfectionism's Prison Walls. Perfectionism wears many masks. On the outside, it might look like ambition, high standards, or discipline. But underneath those polished surfaces lies something much heavier: fear. The fear of making a mistake. The fear of disappointing others. The fear of not being enough unless everything is flawless. Perfectionism doesn't announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, whispering, "You should have done better," even when you've given your all. It delays your progress by making you revise again and again. It punishes you for resting before the work is perfect. And at night, when the world is quiet, perfectionism turns your day into a courtroom where you are both the defendant and the judge, always on trial, rarely ever free. Let's pause and recognize something important. Perfectionism is not about excellence, it's about fear of inadequacy. True excellence allows room for growth and grace. Perfectionism offers no such kindness. It is a prison made of impossible standards and self-imposed shame. And the worst part? Many of us didn't build these prison walls ourselves. They were built over time, brick by brick, through comments that made us feel less than, environments that rewarded results over effort, systems that demanded performance at the cost of our peace. Perhaps it began in childhood when your mistakes were met with scolding rather than understanding. Or maybe it came from school, where grades defined your value. Or the workplace, where productivity was praised, but burnout was ignored. Wherever it started, perfectionism taught you to equate mistakes with failure and to see rest as laziness rather than necessity. But here's the truth: you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. To be whole. To be evolving. You were meant to try, to fail, to learn, and to try again. That's how growth works. That's how authenticity is formed. That's how confidence is built, not through flawlessness, but through resilience. Perfectionism, by contrast, is brittle. It shatters under pressure because it leaves no space for being human. It makes you terrified of trying something new, because if you can't be the best, why bother? It convinces you that your value depends on constant performance, flawless delivery, and unbroken appearances. But what if we could tear down those prison walls? What if you gave yourself permission to be in progress instead of perfect? Let's begin by redefining what it means to be good enough. Good enough doesn't mean mediocre. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means human. It means you recognize your limits and still choose to show up. It means you value rest as much as results. It means you offer yourself the same compassion you would offer a friend. Tonight, I want to invite you to step out of the prison of perfectionism. You don't need to earn your place in the world by always doing things right. You don't need to hold yourself together every moment of every day. You don't need to hide your imperfections to be loved. In fact, it is often your imperfections that make you more relatable, more courageous, more real. Perfectionism thrives on self-criticism. But healing begins with self-acceptance. That means looking at your flaws not as failures, but as features. As parts of your human story. As proof that you are alive, learning, and evolving. Think back to a moment in your life when you felt deep connection with someone. Chances are, it wasn't during a moment of perfection. It was when you were honest, vulnerable, maybe even a little messy. That's where trust lives. That's where authenticity breathes. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. In fact, the most powerful people are the ones who are willing to be seen fully. They've stopped performing and started living. So how do we soften the grip of perfectionism? We begin by replacing self-judgment with curiosity. Instead of saying, "I failed," ask, "What did I learn?" Instead of obsessing over what went wrong, celebrate what went right. Instead of delaying action until everything is perfect, embrace progress as the true victory. And most importantly, practice imperfection on purpose. Leave the last dish in the sink and choose sleep instead. Wear the outfit even if it doesn't match perfectly. Publish the post even if it's not polished to perfection. Let someone see you as you are, not as the image you've been sculpting. Each act of imperfection is a brick removed from the prison wall. Each moment of self-forgiveness is a key turning in the lock. And one day, you'll look around and realize you're free. You are no longer a slave to the idea that you must be everything for everyone. You are no longer driven by fear, but led by love. Love for yourself. Love for this one, brief, beautiful life. And as you learn to let go of perfectionism, you create space for joy. For creativity. For spontaneity. For rest. For the kind of success that doesn't burn you out but fills you up. So tonight, breathe this truth deep into your soul. I am not perfect. I was never meant to be. I am beautifully unfinished, and that is where my strength lies. Repeat it gently. Repeat it often. Let it wash over you like a balm to your tired spirit. You do not need to prove yourself to earn rest tonight. You do not need to rerun the day in your mind to justify taking a break. You are allowed to exist exactly as you are, imperfect, in progress, and more than enough. The prison walls will not fall all at once. But every act of gentleness toward yourself chips away at them. Every deep breath of acceptance is a doorway to freedom. Let the day be enough, not because everything was perfect, but because you were present in it. You showed up. You tried. You gave what you could. And now, you deserve to stop. To breathe. To rest. Not because you earned it by being flawless, but because you are human. And that is more than enough. Chapter 6, Reclaiming the Right to Rest. Imagine a candle that never extinguishes, forced to burn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No matter how noble its light, no matter how strong its wick, eventually, inevitably, it melts into nothing. This is what happens when we deny ourselves rest. We are the candle, and without pause, we disappear. The idea that rest must be earned is one of the most dangerous myths modern society has sold us. We are told, explicitly and subtly, that we must produce, perform, and push constantly. That only after we've crossed a certain threshold of productivity are we allowed to stop. But who set that threshold? And why are we all chasing it, as if rest were a trophy and not a birthright? You are not a machine. You are not designed for output alone. You are a living organism with rhythms like the tides, like the moon, like the seasons. Trees do not bloom all year. Rivers do not rush every second. And you, too, are allowed to have your winter. Your stillness. Your breath. To reclaim rest is to reclaim your humanity. Yet for many, resting feels wrong. Guilt creeps in. Thoughts arise, I could be doing more. I should be helping someone. There's work I haven't finished. That guilt is not natural, it is taught. Like a software pre-installed by a world that values you for your function rather than your essence. Let's flip the script. Rest is not a luxury. It is your natural reset button. It is the soil in which your next idea will grow, the silence in which your intuition speaks, the pause between the notes that makes the music meaningful. Without rest, your actions lose depth. Your joy becomes shallow. Your focus begins to blur. Think of rest as a well. Each day, you draw from it, giving energy, love, effort, and attention to the world. But if you never refill it, it runs dry. Then you're not only exhausted, you're also disconnected from yourself. You lose your ability to hear your own needs. True rest is not just sleep. It is permission. Permission to exist without agenda. To sit in stillness without guilt. To do something slow, soft, and nurturing without trying to justify it. That might look like closing your eyes for 5 minutes in the afternoon. Or taking a walk with no destination. Or letting the laundry wait while you read a few pages of a book that makes you feel alive. One of the most common fears about rest is that we'll fall behind. But let me ask you this, fall behind what? A race you didn't choose to enter? A finish line that keeps moving? The truth is, your life is not a competition. It is a journey. And like any good journey, it requires stops, detours, and time to simply enjoy the view. When you reclaim your right to rest, you begin to access a deeper version of yourself, the one beneath the doing. The one who dreams. The one who listens. The one who remembers what it feels like to be instead of become. Reclaiming rest also means protecting it. You don't have to wait until your body collapses to say no. You don't have to explain why you're choosing a quiet night over another obligation. Your peace is reason enough. Imagine your body as a garden. If you harvest it relentlessly without tending the soil, eventually it stops producing. But when you pause to enrich the earth, watering it, letting it lie fallow when needed, it gives back in abundance. Your rest is the enrichment your soul craves. And from that fertile place, creativity, clarity, and compassion naturally bloom. Another important truth: rest looks different for everyone. For some, it's silence. For others, it's music, movement, art, or prayer. It's less about the activity and more about the intention. Is this restoring me? Is this reconnecting me to myself? If the answer is yes, you're resting even if the world says you're not doing it right. The key is to rest on purpose. To rest not as a default when you're burned out, but as a practice that sustains you. To say, I honor myself enough to stop now, while I still have energy left to enjoy my life. You don't need anyone's approval to rest. You don't need to prove that you've suffered enough to deserve relief. The very act of living in this world, navigating your responsibilities, relationships, and inner challenges, already justifies your need to breathe. So tonight, instead of pushing through one more task, pause. Instead of reviewing all the things you didn't do, honor the things you did, even the invisible things. The courage to keep going. The patience you offered. The battles no one else saw. These are enough. You are enough. Here is your gentle affirmation. I reclaim my rest. I give myself permission to pause. My value does not depend on constant doing. In stillness, I remember who I am. Repeat this like a bedtime lullaby for your soul. Let each word cradle you, soften you, heal the parts of you that have been running too long. And as you drift into sleep, imagine your inner world like a quiet lake. Still. Deep. Reflective. That stillness is not wasted time, it is sacred space. It is where your spirit restores itself. It is where your dreams are born. Let the world keep spinning for now. Let the noise outside carry on. Tonight, you are allowed to rest not as a pause from life, but as a full and beautiful part of it. Let the day be enough. Let rest be your return. And let peace be the place you come home to. Chapter 7, When Your Best Feels Small. There are days when your best effort barely feels like a ripple on the surface of life. Days when you tried, truly tried, but the results seemed small, or worse, unnoticed. The task wasn't completed. The goal wasn't reached. The people you gave your energy to didn't acknowledge your effort. You end the day wondering, was that really enough? This is where shame tries to sneak in. This is where comparison starts to whisper. Because someone else seems to have done more, achieved more, handled it all better. And suddenly, your best feels tiny, insignificant, forgettable. But let me tell you something that perfectionism will never admit and productivity culture will never affirm. There is no such thing as a small best. Your best is your best. And that is sacred. Your best may not look like someone else's. Your best may not come with applause. Your best may not fix everything or meet every deadline or save the day. But your best comes from you. And that alone makes it worthy of respect. Sometimes, your best looks like pushing through a difficult meeting while holding back tears. Sometimes, your best is getting out of bed when your heart is heavy. Sometimes, your best is making a simple meal when your energy is low. Sometimes, your best is simply showing up even if it's just emotionally, even if it's just barely. And all of that matters. We live in a culture obsessed with scale. Bigger is better. More is proof. And so we unintentionally devalue the quiet, ordinary acts of effort that go unseen. But it's often those very acts, the ones no one notices, that build our resilience, shape our character, and create a foundation of integrity we can stand on. You don't need to save the world in a day to be proud of yourself. You just need to honor the truth of your own capacity in the moment you're in. That's real strength. Your energy is not a constant. It fluctuates. Your best on Monday may not look like your best on Thursday. Your best during a season of grief may look different than during a season of joy. And that's okay. Your best isn't about how much you did, it's about how fully you met the moment with what you had. And here's something else: best doesn't mean perfect. It means, this is what I could give today, with the tools, time, and energy I had. It means, this is what I offered, sincerely, even if it didn't match someone else's expectations or my own. That takes courage. That takes heart. When your best feels small, remember this: you're still in the story. You're still moving forward. Life is made up of tiny efforts layered over time. 1,000 small bests build a legacy. 1,000 quiet efforts become a bridge. 1,000 unseen actions become who you are. Think of how nature works. The ocean is not filled by one wave. The mountain is not formed by one shift. The flower doesn't bloom in one moment of sunlight. Growth is cumulative. Healing is layered. And your life, too, is unfolding moment by moment, even when it doesn't feel like much. So stop disqualifying your effort just because it wasn't dramatic. Your best matters, even if no one claps. Especially if no one claps. Because that means you're not doing it for performance, you're doing it from integrity. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel like your best didn't move the needle. But don't let that tiredness twist into self-rejection. Let it become self-acknowledgement instead. I showed up. I tried. And that's enough for today. Repeat it as many times as you need. Let it be your closing statement as the day ends. Let it be a balm for the self-doubt that tries to cling to your mind as you rest. And here's another truth: someone out there saw what you didn't see in yourself. Maybe it was a child who felt your warmth even when you felt worn out. A colleague who noticed your consistency. A stranger who caught your smile when you had little energy to give. The impact of your effort often outlives your awareness of it. Even when you feel like you're barely holding it together, you may be the light in someone else's cloudy moment. Your small may be someone else's reminder that gentle persistence is still beautiful. So give yourself credit for showing up. Let's make room to honor the tiny victories. The pause before reacting. The honest no. The breath taken in the middle of chaos. The decision to rest instead of overextend. None of these will trend on social media. None of them will get you an award. But they are markers of inner maturity. Of soulful living. Of being awake and aligned, even in small, imperfect ways. So tonight, when your mind wants to tally what you didn't do, pause. Gently shift your focus. What did you give, even when you felt empty? What did you carry, even when you wanted to drop it? What did you resist, even when it tempted you to escape? These are your quiet triumphs. These are your soul's silent applause. You are not falling short. You are living through something. You are learning something. You are offering something: your energy, your care, your presence. And even when your best feels small, it's enough. Here's your reflection for tonight. My effort matters, even when it's quiet. My best is never wasted. I honor what I gave today. And I trust that it is enough. Let the pressure melt away. Let the shame of not doing more dissolve into gratitude for what was done. Let the day be enough, not because it was grand, but because it was real. You were real. You tried. You mattered. Let yourself believe that. Let yourself rest in that. Let your best be enough. Chapter 8, Letting Peace Finish the Work. There comes a moment in the evening when the to-do list still has unchecked boxes, the laundry is only half folded, your inbox has unanswered emails, and your heart whispers, just one more thing. This whisper is familiar. It tugs at your sense of responsibility, your desire to be dependable, your silent belief that peace must be earned. So you stay up a little later. You squeeze in one last chore. You revisit the conversation in your head that didn't go well. You try to fix, to complete, to perfect. But what if you didn't? What if you laid it all down not out of defeat, but out of trust? What if, tonight, you let peace finish the work? There is a gentle kind of wisdom in knowing when to stop trying to solve it all. It doesn't mean you've failed. It means you understand that not everything is meant to be resolved in one day. That sometimes, your energy completes a task only partially but your surrender completes it wholly. Letting peace finish the work means recognizing that your soul deserves closure more than your schedule deserves completion. Because here's the truth most of us forget, your peace is more productive than your pressure. Pressure keeps you chasing. Peace brings you home. When you allow peace to finish the work, you no longer carry the unresolved parts of the day like burdens. You place them gently into a sacred trust knowing that time, grace, and rest will do what your willpower cannot. Imagine your evening like a ceremony of release. You close your laptop. You dim the lights. You place your hand on your heart and say, I have done what I can. The rest belongs to tomorrow or not at all. This is not avoidance. It's alignment. It's understanding that there is a time to act and a time to allow. A time to push and a time to exhale. We often think peace comes after everything is done. But the deeper truth is that peace comes when we decide we are done for now. Not because we finished it all, but because we chose to finish the day with grace. That mindset alone can change your life. Peace is not passive. It is powerful. It calms your nervous system. It helps your body heal. It unlocks the parts of your creativity that cannot bloom under stress. It restores your perspective so that tomorrow, you approach life with clarity, not exhaustion. Letting peace finish the work also honors your limits. You are not a limitless being. You are finite, fragile, even. And acknowledging that is not weakness, it is sacred honesty. You are allowed to say, I need to stop now. You are allowed to leave some things unfinished. You are allowed to rest in the presence of imperfection. And you are allowed to do it without guilt. Because here's what peace teaches, everything doesn't have to be done for everything to be well. Let's talk about the spiritual dimension of this. When you stop and choose peace over pressure, you step into a deeper trust. Whether it's God, the universe, or simply your own intuition, you are saying, I don't have to carry this all alone. I believe in something beyond my effort. I believe in unseen support. I believe that life can unfold without my constant control. That belief is not naive. It's nourishing. Because peace is not the absence of effort. It's the surrender of unnecessary effort. Peace says, you've done enough today. Peace says, rest is your right, not your reward. Peace says, you are still whole, even if your world feels incomplete. So how do you practice letting peace finish the work? You begin with ritual. Light a candle and declare the day closed. Take a slow breath and say, I release this. Journal a short sentence, today, I offered what I could. I now return to myself. Or simply sit in silence, letting your shoulders drop and your thoughts drift gently away. Over time, these small acts become anchors. They remind you that you are not just a doer, you are a being. A soul. A presence. And your being deserves rest. Letting peace finish the work also means forgiving the day for what it didn't become. Maybe the conversation wasn't resolved. Maybe the task stayed half done. Maybe you weren't as patient as you wanted to be. It's okay. Peace does not demand perfection. Peace gently holds your humanity and says, I still see your effort. And it is enough. One of the greatest shifts you can make is from the mindset of closure through completion to closure through compassion. Completion says, I must finish to feel calm. Compassion says, I can feel calm even if I didn't finish. And that shift will heal more than your to-do list ever could. Because ultimately, letting peace finish the work is about trust. Trust that life continues even when you pause. Trust that your worth is not measured by how efficiently you live. Trust that rest is not a detour, it's part of the path. So tonight, as you lay your head on your pillow, imagine all the unfinished things softly fading into the background. They do not disappear, but they do not demand your energy now. You offer them peace. You let them be. And you let yourself be, too. Here is your gentle affirmation. I stop here. I have done what I can. Peace will carry the rest. Let the day be enough, not because it tied up perfectly, but because you chose peace over perfection. Because you chose restoration over rumination. Because you remembered that your soul matters more than your performance. Tonight, let peace finish the work. Let it wrap around you like a blanket. Let it whisper that nothing more is needed. Let it carry you softly into rest. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop. And let peace complete what pressure never could. Chapter 9, Building a Nightly Ritual of Release. The way you end your day shapes the way you enter your rest. And the way you rest shapes the way you rise. Yet for many, bedtime is not a release, it's a reckoning. As the world quiets, the mind gets louder. Unfinished tasks replay. Embarrassing moments echo. Lists form. Regrets revisit. And instead of winding down, your nervous system winds up. But what if your evenings became a sacred transition? What if you could build a gentle bridge between effort and ease, between what was done and what can be let go? That's where the nightly ritual of release comes in. This is more than brushing your teeth and turning off the lights. This is an intentional act of care, a signal to your body and soul that the striving has ended, and rest may begin. It is a soft ceremony of self-kindness, where you step out of performance and into presence. Crescent moon, why you need a ritual of release. We carry so much by day. Deadlines, conversations, roles, expectations. It all builds up emotionally, mentally, energetically. Without a ritual to gently clear this weight, we carry it into the night. And that heaviness doesn't disappear, it seeps into our dreams, our sleep quality, and the way we feel about ourselves. A ritual of release gives your nervous system closure. It tells your subconscious, you are safe now. You may rest. You don't have to hold it all anymore. It is not about productivity, it's about peace. Candle designing your personal nightly ritual. Your ritual can be 5 minutes or 50. It can be quiet or expressive. It can be the same every night or shift with the seasons of your life. What matters is that it feels intentional and nurturing. Here are 7 elements you can combine to build your own unique nightly release practice. 1. Physical reset. Begin by tending to your body. You've carried tension all day, shoulders tight, jaw clenched, posture strained. Releasing starts with awareness. Stretch slowly. Reach your arms overhead. Roll your neck. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Place your hands on your heart or belly. Feel your breath expand and soften. Do one small act of care: wash your face, put lotion on your hands, change into soft clothing. Let it be a message to yourself, I am now entering stillness. 2. Mental offload. Your mind may be swirling with thoughts. Rather than suppress them, welcome them, and give them somewhere to land. Try brain dumping. Write down everything on your mind without editing. No structure, no order. Just empty it all onto the page. Then, scan your list. Is there anything you can release for now? Draw a soft line through those items. Say, this can wait. It is not mine to carry tonight. 3. Emotional clearing. Sometimes it's not the tasks, it's the feelings. Guilt, shame, disappointment, anxiety. These emotions don't need to be solved tonight, but they do deserve acknowledgement. Whisper to yourself, I see you. I feel you. I release you. If a moment from the day lingers, place your hand over your heart and say, I forgive this. I forgive myself. 4. Affirmative anchoring. Endless thoughts need anchoring. Give your mind something calming to focus on, something simple, truthful, and nourishing. Repeat a bedtime affirmation such as, I release what I cannot change. I am enough, even in rest. Nothing more is required of me tonight. Let the words settle in, not as a command, but as a comfort. 5. Gratitude glance. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it gently expands perspective. It says, even in the chaos, something beautiful existed. Name 3 things you're grateful for from today. A kind message. A moment of silence. A warm drink. Let each moment rise and be honored, then pass peacefully. 6. Symbolic gesture. Sometimes, the soul needs a signal, something tangible that says, the day is complete. Light a candle and blow it out as a symbol of release. Tie a ribbon around your wrist and untie it as you whisper, I let go now. Place a small stone or object on your nightstand as a placeholder for everything you are choosing to leave behind tonight. Symbolic gestures work like bookmarks in the story of your life. They tell your spirit, we are done with this page. We will begin again tomorrow. 7. Sacred silence. End your ritual not with noise, but with stillness. Let there be a moment where nothing is asked of you. Where your only job is to exist. Sit for 1 minute in silence. Breathe in and out. Say nothing. Think nothing. Just be. This is where the ritual becomes holy. This is where you meet yourself again, not as a doer, but as a being. When you forget or resist. Some nights, you'll be too tired. Or your mind won't settle. Or you'll feel like your efforts were too messy to be ritual worthy. That's okay. Do just one small part. Even closing your eyes and placing a hand on your heart is a ritual if done with care. The power isn't in how perfect the practice is, it's in the intention behind it. You are not performing for anyone. You are reconnecting with yourself. Why it matters. A nightly ritual of release trains your system to stop equating rest with laziness and start equating rest with respect. Self-respect. Soul respect. Boundary respect. You are telling yourself, I matter enough to pause. I matter enough to stop. I matter enough to be gentle with myself before sleep. And over time, that message takes root. You begin to fall asleep lighter. You wake up with more space. You walk through life less tangled, more grounded. You no longer drag the past day into tomorrow's hope. You no longer fight for closure because you've created it with your own hands. Your evening affirmation. Let this be your final whisper to the night. I release this day with grace. I do not need to carry its weight into my dreams. I rest now not because I finished everything, but because I choose peace. My soul is safe here. I am home. Let the day be enough not because it was complete, but because you created your own closure. Let your nightly ritual be your sanctuary. A quiet place of return. A daily reminder that even in a world of doing, you are allowed to let go. And in that letting go, you become whole again. Chapter 10, Waking Up Without Regret. How you wake up sets the tone for everything that follows. Before the phone lights up, before the mind leaps into the day's to-dos, before the world asks anything of you, there is a sacred window. A space where your heart has a chance to speak first. But too often, regret speaks louder. Regret over what wasn't done yesterday. Regret over what was said or left unsaid. Regret over all the ways we fell short. It starts quietly, a sigh, a tightening in the chest, a subtle clenching of the jaw. And before the sun has fully risen, self-judgment takes the wheel. What if you didn't wake up that way? What if regret wasn't your morning alarm? What if you woke up with forgiveness instead of frustration, with permission instead of pressure? That shift isn't just possible, it's powerful. Morning doesn't need to fix the night. First, let's understand something deeply healing: you don't have to make up for yesterday. You are not obligated to earn a clean slate through guilt or punishment. The very act of waking up is your clean slate. Each morning is a new beginning because you are new. You have slept, regenerated, grown even in stillness. Your breath this morning is different than yesterday's breath. That matters. Regret tells you, you need to catch up. Grace tells you, you are allowed to begin again. Start with grace. Before your feet touch the ground, before your inner critic has a chance to speak, place your hand on your heart and whisper, I am not defined by yesterday. Today is a new moment. I wake up in peace. These words are not a denial of reality, they are an embrace of possibility. You are not erasing the past, you are releasing it so it doesn't poison the present. Letting go of morning self-punishment. Many of us were taught, subtly or directly, that regret is a motivator. That if we just feel badly enough about yesterday, we'll do better today. But the truth is, regret doesn't motivate, it weighs. It slows you down before you've even begun. It clouds your joy, hardens your face, tightens your decisions. There is a softer way. Instead of starting your day trying to fix yourself, begin by welcoming yourself. Greet yourself like you would a dear friend. Good morning. I know yesterday was heavy. You tried. I saw you. Let's move gently today. No punishment, only presence. That tone, that kindness, rewires everything. You shift from fear-based action to love-based intention. From surviving the day to living it. A morning practice for regret-free living. If regret often greets you in the morning, try this simple 3-part ritual to gently return to peace. 1. Breathe and bless the present. Sit on the edge of your bed. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. On the exhale, softly say to yourself, this moment is enough. Repeat 3 times. Let your breath cleanse the lingering weight of yesterday. 2. Reflect with compassion, not criticism. Ask yourself, what can I forgive from yesterday? What is one thing I'm proud of even if no one else noticed it? Let the answers come without judgment. Let them be imperfect. Let them be real. 3. Set an intention rooted in self-respect. Instead of a task-based goal, set a soul-based intention. Today, I will honor my energy. Today, I will choose grace over urgency. Today, I will live as someone already worthy. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Let it lead you. This practice is not about erasing your past, it's about choosing how you carry it. When you carry it with kindness, it becomes wisdom instead of weight. Every day is a continuation, not a judgment. There is a myth that each day is either a success or a failure. But the truth is, every day is a chapter. Not the whole story. When you wake up without regret, you give yourself permission to see your life as a gentle unfolding, not a report card. Let's reframe it. Yesterday wasn't a failure, it was feedback. You're not starting over, you're building on what came before. You're not behind, you're exactly where your soul needs to be to take its next step. Each sunrise is a page turn. You are allowed to keep writing. Choose peace, not pressure. If you begin your morning by racing to make up for lost time, your body stays in fight or flight mode all day. But if you begin your morning with intentional peace, your entire system relaxes. You think more clearly. You breathe more deeply. You act from alignment instead of anxiety. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not disqualified because of what you didn't do. You are here. Alive. Willing to try again. And that is beautiful. Let yourself feel that. Let yourself believe it. Let yourself rise not as a machine that must produce, but as a soul that longs to express, connect, grow, and rest. Let morning be a soft rebirth. Here's your morning mantra. I begin again not because I failed yesterday, but because I am allowed to grow. Say it while you drink your tea. Say it in the shower. Say it as you open the window and let the light in. You don't need to chase redemption today. You are already redeemed by your willingness to return. To choose again. To be present. That is enough. Let morning be a moment of remembering not what went wrong, but what is still possible. You are still becoming. You are still worthy. You are still loved even when you wake up with doubts. Close the chapter with intention. As you move into your day, remember, Yesterday is done. You've honored it. You've learned from it. Now release it. Let the day be enough. Let the morning be kind. Let regret be replaced with grace. And let yourself rise as someone worthy of peace, not because of what you'll do today, but simply because you are you. Final whisper for the morning. I am not yesterday. I am this breath, this step, this beginning. I rise with compassion, and I carry peace into the day. Reaching RTSG with AI assistance via WhatsApp QR code. Recommended Reinventing Ourselves YouTube video QR code.